Now I get to start.
Yeah.
Okay, well, welcome everyone to the roundtable discussion with our student council candidates for this year's council representative election. And we're going to start off with a question for all candidates. If elected, how will you actively foster trust and transparency between the student body and the union? And we can start with Tiffany here, our equity rep.
So in order to do that, I think that I would have to lead by example. So I would have to, in turn, be completely transparent in my shortcomings or my priorities, and really express what I can do for the students to make sure that they feel supported. And so it's just about opening the dialogue, communicating openly, and meeting with students of all sort of backgrounds in order to get like a good perspective of what each group needs.
Thanks, Tiffany. Can you just state your name and what you're running for? My bad, I should have done that first.
Okay. I'm Tiffany Bondog, and I'm running for equity rep.
Thank you. And then Mackenzie, you can go next. And just when you answer the question, the first one, folks, just introduce yourself and say what you're running for first, please.
Hi, I'm Mackenzie, and I'm running for science rep. And if elected, I think the main thing for me is that I really want to be as approachable and relatable to the student body that I'm representing as possible. And I feel like by doing that, I will be able to help foster trust and transparency. And I think letting my constituents know what I'm up to consistently throughout the term, just letting them know kind of like what meetings you're going to and what committees you're a part of, so that you foster trust between them and also allow them to gain trust in the position and what the U is really working towards.
Thank you. Okay, T, can you go ahead?
So my name is Atif Jalal. I am running for a student of African descent rep. And if elected, I feel like for me, I should be keeping an open line of communication. So letting people know what I am doing, what I'm a part of, and also, if I see an issue arising, making sure that's my top priority to keep that on the list, because I know as a student here at X, I wouldn't like if situations are being treated day to day. I would like the top priority of what happens and what my concerns are. And also to make sure that I can make myself approachable and being a friend first, because I don't want to run for a position where I just have a representative name. I want to be approachable, I want to be a friend, and I want to relate to people in certain ways so that they can trust me and they can communicate with me, and I can distribute that communication with the student council.
Thanks, T. Okay, Rashawn.
Hi, my name is Rashawn Moss, and I'm running for the Student of African Descent rep. And I would say the way to foster trust and transparency would be to inform the student body of all the plans and procedures and all the budgets and steps that the union has planned, and allowing the student body to hold the union accountable to whatever they plan on doing so that they follow through with that plan. And in terms of transparency, I think transparency is pretty simple. So it's just informing everyone of what's really going on, or somewhat forcing them to know through emails, through social media posts, or through flyers, or whatever means of communication, and just letting them know that something is happening.
Okay, thanks, Rashawn. All right, go ahead, Margaret.
Hi, my name is Margaret Ann, and I'm running for Arts Rep. And I think to actively foster trust and transparency within the U, I think we really need to start with an impartial point of view when we come to problem solve as counselors. I think having an open communication process and being approachable to the students is really important in order to stay engaged with all of the student issues, despite your major, despite your race, your sexuality. Just being open and available to everybody. And if anybody has questions, like being able to answer them, and if you don't have the answer, being able to find that answer and being as transparent as possible.
Thanks, Margaret. Go ahead, Tiana.
Right. My name is Tiana Williams. I'm running for education rep. And to answer the question about how to foster trust and transparency through my role here, hopefully at the union, is to really concentrate on that part of the job that is to communicate. So communicate properly, efficiently. Communication is two-way street, so I will be doing my best to reflect the views of my constituents to the union, and vice versa. I will be able to get their concerns and their thoughts on subjects that we are really taking dear here at the union. and make sure that's communicated properly here as well. I think being consistent with communication and always being there at the forefront, being visible, is a key to have your people comfortable with coming to you with the issues, and same with you coming to them to find solutions.
Thank you. All right, you can go ahead, Hunter.
Hi, my name is Hunter Park, and I'm running for business representative. And I think with the role of business representative, like other department roles, it's unique in the way that you only have a certain department that you're targeting. So I think you have a better opportunity to make a relationship with more students than you would, rather than the whole student body. So I think just staying actively involved in communications with the people in the business program, whether that be in person or through social media, keeping them posted on what's going on and what the U does, and things that I'm involved in ways that they can get involved.
Thank you, Hunter. And Darren is with us on Zoom. You can go ahead and answer the first question there.
Is it my turn?
Yes.
I just typed you guys. I couldn't hear which specific question you asked. Like, I can't hear anyone. If you ask me now, I will be able to answer.
Okay, so the question is, if elected, how will you actively foster trust?
I can't hear still.
Oh, you still can't hear? Okay, let me come closer. Can you hear me now? Darren?
Any chance that someone can type?
Yeah, I'll type it in the chat right now. Hey.
Sorry about that.
That's okay.
I don't know my sound. Seems like I hear like Hunter very well, but
Yeah.
I don't hear anything else.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, right now.
Okay, I'll ask you the question, then I'll point you back to the screen, okay? So, if elected, how will you actively foster trust and transparency between the student body and the union?
Okay.
Okay, I'm pointing you back.
Well, first of all, for this question, I want to say, yesterday with the campaign start, each of us got, many messages probably, and I got many saying, people saying, we think, you will do a good job, and some of them were the people that I didn't expect. And I believe that you don't tell someone that they will do a good job if you don't trust them, and if you don't think they are transparent. So, which I think, it gives me a good start with the representative I'm running for. And so I think for the actively fostering the trust and transparency, I think the only thing I can do is being straightforward with my plans, my opinions, the struggles in the representative situation, or receipts also to the union. Also, for this year being off-campus leader, I saw the union very, very encourage us to be open with them about anything. So I don't think there will be any issues with my trust and transparency. And I believe it also comes with the character and being, very open without being rude. So that's how I'm planning to foster it.
Thanks, Darren. I'm gonna give you a thumbs up because I don't know if you can hear me.
Awesome. We're going to go ahead with the second question. How will you ensure connection with your constituents in terms of building a relationship and engaging with them? Do you have certain goals? And we'll start with Tiffany.
Hi. So I think that this is important to note that when it comes to good decision making, you really do have to work with other people in different sectors, as most problems seem to be intersectoral. And I think it's resolved by addressing roots in different contexts, as opposed to just working in the same sector and not really branching out and opening that sort of communication. In order to ensure connection with constituents, I believe we should all stress the importance of problem solving in specific ways, as well as the bigger picture. So in order to get the bigger picture, we do have to work with each other. And in order to do that, I think you have to become flexible and accommodating to different sectors and constituents in order to achieve any goal. And so I would want to learn from other students as well, and other representatives, in order to achieve these goals and use respectful language, as well as open the dialogue.
Awesome. Thank you. Mackenzie?
So for me, to ensure connection with my constituents, my main platform goal is to demystify the position of a student representative, because I feel unless you're really running for student representative or you're already really involved in the U, a lot of the student body doesn't really know what this position gets up to. So by creating a social media platform and being there in person and really trying to be as active as possible in the societies of that all relate to my constituency as science rep, I feel like I could really make good personal connections and just being able to be approachable by students so that they know kind of what I get up to as their representative on council and on Senate.
Awesome, thank you. Atik?
So what I would do to ensure connection with my constituents is keep an open platform. So what I want to do is I want to use social media to be transparent to the student body and to make sure that they know what I'm about and what I'm doing. And also promising the student body that I am always striving for open communication and making sure that if a problem is concerned, that problem will be looked at. And also, like, my goal is when running for this spot for representative, I want to build relationships with the students as well as people from other faculties. And my stress is to just become friends, become someone you can talk to and someone I could relate to and you could relate to me. So that's what my platform is all about, and coming together.
Thank you. Rashawn?
I would say that to ensure connections with your constituents, you just have to make them feel comfortable. So just saying a simple hi, who are you, or what are you up to, or just getting to know them and letting them get to know you as well. I think that's a big part of creating a connection. And I think building relationships and engaging them, it involves really submerging them into what you represent and what you believe in. So informing them of everything that you want to do for them and informing them of what you think that you should do in your position, and just ultimately making them feel completely comfortable with you to ensure a healthy connection.
Thank you. Margaret?
Firstly, I think to ensure communication and positive communication with students and counselors, I think we really need to look at making the U a more accessible and approachable organization. As in my experience as a community advisor on campus, I've noticed that a lot of students, especially our first and second years, are really kind of a little skittish of opening up to older students and people who might have a sense of authority or legitimacy over them. But I think having an approachable attitude, being open-minded about different issues and challenges facing students and our community, I think that will be the most important part in fostering that trust with our students.
Awesome, thank you. Tiana?
Yeah, absolutely agree with that. So for fostering a good relationship and partnership really with my constituents, as well as the rest of the U, it's really important to keep in mind that you need to be open. You need to really put on, your listening ears. You need to really have a sense that you have this responsibility, and it is our responsibility as representatives to lend that ear, listen to what the issues are, right? Being able to communicate back, hey, this is what the budget's looking at. Is this going to be an issue? That kind of thing. So communication's a big thing. Being visible, that's another thing. A lot of students don't really know what the U authors them, right? Doesn't know what the union really represents. So getting our names out there, getting our faces out there, getting those descriptions of what are we actually doing here for you all is a first step in really bringing it all together.
Awesome, thank you. Hunter?
Yeah, those are all really good points. So in my role as business rep, I would like to make clear what the supports that the U offers are, especially just for business students. And I would try and maintain connection by nurturing the relationships that I already have with the business students, as well as creating new ones, and encouraging them to give feedback and input and reach out to me when they have anything that they have questions about or comments for the U.
Thank you.
Erin, can you hear us?
I got the question, so you guys don't have to ask me again.
Okay, thanks.
So, I have like I have two goals for the ensuring the connection with the constituents if I ever get elected. The first one is since I am actively using social media and I love talking. Along with the office hours, I want to check on people individually in my free time, maybe at least 1 hour a week, to make sure everything is okay with them, because I believe not many people realize from time to time it gets very hard to be an international student, and sometimes you feel like you don't want to bother people with your struggles. And me, I love listening to those and I love helping to those, and I want to be more engaged in it, so I will build a relationship with international students more. And by that, doing it, I want to minimize their issues and their homesickness and everything. And my second goal is to help and try to combine international student societies events with more residents and other societies events, because yes, international students do those events to show their culture or also have a feeling at home. But I believe if they engage more with Canadians, more with more people, if they have more opportunity to share their culture with many more people, they will be more engaging in the student union and the international society, and also with me. Thank you.
Thanks, Darren. We're going to go on to the third question for all the candidates. The Students' Union struggles to engage marginalized groups on campus. How will you promote inclusion in the Students' Union and on campus? And we'll start with Tiffany.
So I think it's very important to educate faculty and students on Indigenous, Black students, LGBTQIA+, issues amongst other ones as well, in order to create that safe space for people to feel free to participate. And in order for us to be compassionate with each other and for professors to be compassionate with students and vice versa, you need to be able to educate yourself on these issues as well as be culturally competent. And so I was talking to other advisors like Tarina for Indigenous Student Affairs and Clayton. They're awesome and what they expect to see on campus. And I think that it should be mandatory that students and faculty should take positive space and waves of change training programs. And it's not just a one and done thing. There's definitely you have to be able to grow with this information and use it in your everyday life as well. So I think that's very important to help people feel engaged and to feel welcome to speak up and use their voices.
All right, thanks, Tiffany. You can go ahead, Mackenzie.
All right, so for me, on a personal level, I think to promote inclusion within the council on the U, I think really listening to international rep, equity rep, and student of African descent rep, just to really, me personally, learn more and be educated and be an open ear to listen to counselors who represent marginalized groups. Of course, every position here represents marginalized groups in some way. And then to promote inclusion within the union, I want to raise awareness about these counselor positions so that I think all together we could help promote these positions so that more marginalized groups are aware of it, so the entire student body is more aware of it, and so that marginalized groups also feel so that we have a higher percentage of marginalized groups also applying for these positions. And then through learning and through promoting, I hope that I can aid in donating my voice to marginalized groups as well.
All right, thanks, Mackenzie, and you can go ahead, Ati.
So for me, my goal to promote inclusion of marginalized groups is, first of all, the first step to do that is to open the dialogue of education by educating certain groups and being open about how they feel and where they come from and how they want to be included. And also, I believe I would love to create events where everyone is allowed to come and meet each other and build relationships. And I want to use my platform to bring other people together, not just only one specific marginalized group. I want everyone to come together so we can all be one. And, yeah.
All right, thanks, Atik. You can go ahead, Rashawn.
I would say that promoting inclusion first has to start with changing the bylaws or policies or procedures that don't allow inclusion to occur, because many things prohibit this from happening. And I would say that after that, I would remove the stigma around the word inclusion, because it isn't this foreign thing, like it isn't something that's impossible. No one should be excluded or feel like they're not accepted. So I would say ensuring that a diverse group of people are in every board or committee or every group of persons within the university, that will create the idea that inclusion isn't really impossible, like it should be a normal thing. So that would be my way of doing that.
All right, thank you. Margaret, you can go ahead.
Just kind of echoing what they were saying earlier about how even though like running for faculty rep, we're representing our program, we're still representing many, many different marginalized communities included. And I think beginning with just treating people with basic respect and listening to their issues is the most important issue of all. Because without that open communication between all students, it's really very difficult to foster that kind of inclusion for our marginalized groups. Remaining like aware of the challenges that people are facing, especially in this day and age, is very, very important. Yes.
Thank you. You can go ahead, Tiana.
Yeah, so I might be a bit impartial with my representative group there, but I think it really starts with educating the population about these marginalized groups and what we see day to day, even here on campus, that might perpetuate the stigma which was mentioned, right? Perpetuate exclusion, right? And a lot of the education program, I'm very lucky to say, provides positive space training. It provides truth and reconciliation training. It really gives us a lot of great resources to build upon and then go and share that with everybody else. So that's one thing I'm really excited to bring to this position, especially with inclusion. We talk about a lot about, you know, you're advocating for respect, you're advocating for safe spaces, you're advocating for comfort, right? Here in a place where a lot of us call home, right? So it really starts with educating, making sure everybody is aware of the issues and also aware of what we all can do to minimize and really make it a more inclusive space for everybody.
Thank you. Okay, go ahead, Hunter.
So my take on this is being an openly gay student on campus, it's understandable that it can seem like there's a big struggle to get involved on campus, but after I did some digging, there's so many supports and so many groups that are around. And even though every marginalized group's struggles are different, there's so many supports that aren't really advertised to the student body as much as they should be. And I feel like if I had this role that I would try and put it out to the students that there are so many ways to get involved and so many supports that are available to students.
All right, thanks, Hunter. Darren, can you hear me?
My turn?
Yes.
Well, so like when it comes to definition of marginalized groups, like when I think about as international students, I think like it happens due to like two reasons, which is like the first is cultural differences and the second is the language barrier from like my observation. I find that it's very normal because like, you know, if you come to a country that you don't know, you tend to like stick with your own culture because you share the common stuff, common issues, whatever. So to prevent that, to engage them more, I'm planning to like start by first approaching to them as an individual to hear their wants, their needs, if they have issues that prevent them from engaging more in the student union, and if they want any change for them to engage more, and if it's probable to do it in the capacity of the position I'm running for, and also with the capacity in the student union, I will of course do my best to get it done. On the other side, there are also marginalized groups due to their language barriers. Like a couple days ago, I got a question from this guy who was planning to come to St. FX, and then he asked me stuff saying like, is will I face difficulties due to my accent? And then, which is like a normal answer is yes. For the first time, I struggled, and I believe many internationals struggled when they came. The only reason I didn't go to like a group, like a Turkish group, let's say, was because there was none. And then I know like some students, internationals tend to like get together for that because sometimes language barrier becomes your insecurity. So from my observation and experience, the only way to help them to engage in the students union more and then also on campus is by like making sure first that like I'm approachable to them and I'm not judgmental, and neither the student union, so they will be able to talk more, they will be able to engage more, as well as making all the opportunities and events more interesting, so they will be able to, engage more in the on campus and the student union.
Right.
And also, especially these have to be done, I believe, mostly in the first months of the semester, because that's where people tend to get into groups, and that's where you lose or gain them. So, thank you.
All right, thank you, Darren.
Awesome. So now we're going to move on to kind of the more specific questions. So we're going to ask the faculty reps. So that's going to be business, education, science, and arts. So we'll start with Mackenzie. What is the importance of Senate? What is your specific role as a student representative on Senate?
Alrighty, so I think the importance of Senate is that, well, the Senate is one of the main governing bodies of the university, and this is where big decisions regarding academics and policy are made at the beginning of the year. So as the representative for the science faculty, my main role there is to be a voice for science students. So by reaching out and really creating a platform where they can voice their concerns to me, I want to be able to bring those concerns back to Senate, and then also raise the concerns of any students and vote in the best interest of science students.
Awesome. Thank you. Margaret?
I think the most important part of the Senate is that it is equally representative of the students it's representing. It should be a microcosm of the student community at St. FX. Therefore, being aware of community challenges, the policies in place and bylaws within the U that restrain us from making any critical changes is the most important thing to make change within the U and the Senate.
Awesome. Thank you. Tiana?
I'm sorry, is that the one with,
Yeah, what is the importance of Senate? What is your specific role as a student representative on Senate?
It's the faculty specific question.
oh, okay. I'm sorry.
No, it's good.
Okay, yeah. Of course, just touching on what everybody else has really mentioned about being that voice and, being able to communicate the values of who we're representing, as well as being able to really communicate those policies, right, those issues that come up, and being able to successfully diffuse issues as well as raise some up depending on what really is at stake there. But being able to be on a Senate, have that power, have that privilege to be here and be able to delegate and come up with ideas and motions that will really benefit the greater community is something that we can't take for granted, right? So that's something that I'll definitely be concentrating on, is making sure that my actions here in the Senate and in the U are definitely going to be reflective of those I'm representing back in the education.
Awesome. Thank you. Hunter?
As the others mentioned, the Senate is a place for everyone to bring what they need to have represented for all the different departments and what their specific department needs. So looking at the business department, I see that in our whole first semester there was a large focus placed on sustainability and how Short School of Business is aligned with the UN's Principles for Responsible Management Education. And I don't necessarily see that mirrored with the rest of the university, and I believe the Senate is a place that could be started to get integrated into the university itself rather than just Schwartz, kind of mirror that through the rest of the university so that business students see that St. FX cares about what your department cares about too.
Awesome, thank you.
So our next question is gonna be just for
Well,
Darren.
I think the student union somehow like lost the trust of some students by not really raising their voice enough against a person or like an ex-candidate who had like very discrimination statements. And for me, it didn't seem like student union being a neutral institution was like a reasonable answer for that. And I believe like many others felt the same because these things are being discussed between our groups, between our environment, right? And also like yesterday I went to see if there was like any post by the union mentioning the discrimination specifically about this individual. And like there was only one post that just states like his withdrawal. I didn't like, screw me if I'm wrong, but I didn't find any like sayings about like saying like we are sad to hear this happened or anything. So well, after seeing that, I believe like many people right now kind of feel bad about it and kind of feel less secure and less welcomed. And I think this is something student union has to look at before they can be like before the next semester starts. Because I know like in Turkey I was also like in the student union too, and then we had like people where the principal will be like, oh, you have to wear blue shirt because this person is coming and it's like a religious person. And student union used to tell us, don't wear anything like that has blue on it because we didn't want to like target groups or anything. So I believe like yes, student union has to always like listen to their like sprayer, like the school presidents, like the Andrew and everyone. However, I believe in this kind of case they had to really say something, and I think it wasn't enough, and that's one of the biggest issue that international students think right now.
Thanks, Darren. Can you hear me right now? Pretty clear? Here, I'll move right beside you. Can you hear me right now? Somewhat? Hi.
You
Um,
can, sorry,
Can you hear me fine right now?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm just gonna ask you another question just specific to the international rep role.
Yep.
So many international students live off campus. So how will you
yeah.
So how will you engage them in your advocacy? The international students living off campus.
So I want to start that by finding that place where like, you know, that gives like a residence feeling, I would say, because this year I'm also an off-campus leader, and with the COVID especially, we always struggle to make an event, book an event, because many also other societies book events a lot that gathers many people together and then do whatever they can do as same as kind of in the residence, like the freedom in there. So I think my first goal for that, to increase the engagement, is to first arrange a good place for students, internationals and both of campus, to be able to go and have like a good event or go and talk and everything. I think that's going to increase their engagement, because when you're an off-campus student and if the things you can do on campus is limited under an international representative or under like an international society or off-campus community, you don't really want to get engaged in on-campus events, because it's still it doesn't look worth it sometimes, which I understand, and then which I will do my best to prevent for the next semester.
Okay, thank you, Darren.
So they will have more engagement.
Thank you.
Oh yeah, sorry, we're gonna jump to the student of African descent question, starting with the TEAC. In what ways would you like to bring Black students together on campus?
Well, one thing is I know like the Black community on campus is somewhat scattered around campus. Everyone is on campus and off campus. So with me, I'm involved with a lot of committees outside of this election, but I'm in the Black Society and the St. FX Racial Equity Committee, and I believe that I got to know a lot of people in the Black community. So what I would love to do is bring them all together in one place and kind of host events. For example, last week we hosted a games night for Black Society, and I saw a lot of familiar faces and new faces, and I saw everyone kind of connect together and, you know, build friendships there. And that's something I want to do. And I would love to invite a lot of the people on campus with African descent and just introduce themselves so that we can all be together as one.
Awesome, thank you. Rashawn?
I would say that most of the students, well, most of the Black students, they're in cliques or groups, and everyone isn't really connected. So I would say I would bring together those different cliques and those different groups to create a much stronger community. And I think that can happen through hosting events, like Atik said, or posting on social media about where we can be, like the Student Diversity Engagement Center. That's a space where Black students can feel comfortable and can feel welcome. And I think that isn't advertised enough, so I would advertise that to let them know that that is a safe space and that's where they can go to connect with one another.
Awesome, thank you.
We're gonna have another specific question for our equity representative candidate. So this one's for you, Tiffany. How will you make sure you engage all marginalized groups in your advocacy?
So I think that like it's also starting a conversation with all types of students again. I know like it's hard for people who aren't a part of like my sort of communities that I identify with to approach me, and so I think I really want to stress that like I'm very open to hearing what your concerns are, as well as just like the LGBTQ community, as well as like the international students community. Even though I'm not an international student, or I'm not a Black student, or Indigenous student, like I definitely do want to work towards helping them. And so I can only hope and wholeheartedly listen to what they have to say and like really learn about the core root of this issue and try to find the best way to solve it and find people who can help solve it as well. So yeah, I wanted to just say that I like have the determination and like drive to help that happen.
Thank you.
Awesome, and then we're gonna jump to the education rep. In your opinion, what challenges are unique to education students? How do you think the Students' Union could better advocate for them?
Well, I know especially it's increased drastically because of COVID, but we find a lot that the education program and the education students are very separated from the rest of the campus community. We're pushed off with the Cody buildings and Xavier Hall. And there's not a lot of mingling in with different societies, different faculties, even student events here. We're really struggling to get that engagement here on campus with our students, which are mature students. They're a lot of them, over 90% of them are off-campus living. Some are distance learning, right? So we have a lot of those variables playing in really limiting how we're getting them involved in union activities, in student-led celebrations or anything like that. So really just trying to create and pave those avenues of communicating, whether it's online or whether it's going into those classes right before it starts and discussing this is what's going on right now, and we'd love to have you there, right? That's something that's really missing right now, and I know it is hard with COVID, but that's really, it makes a difference when we're encouraging all of our students to get involved with each other, right? So it'll benefit us to be mingling with the rest of the faculties here on campus, and I'm sure it would bring just a closer knit family really for the greater Xavier community.
All right, thank you. We're gonna go to another question that's for all candidates, and we'll start with Tiffany again. So in your opinion, what is the biggest problem that the U faces, and how will you address this in your role as a counselor?
So I think that like Darren and Hunter also brought it up. So people are just like generally unaware of the supports that the school has, and like sure there's posters around, but like do people really just like stop and like read it and like take the time to do that? So I think it's just about like reaching out and telling people like about these different things, and like not just like the segregations of like little groups and like how they feel comfortable. It's more just about making like approaching them and making them feel comfortable as a whole in this campus. Another idea was just like there's a lot of outdated like attitudes and ideals from like certain people here on campus, and I think it's just about addressing those as well and making sure that everyone's like culturally competent. And it's also about like representation too. So I think that like we have a good representation of people in this room right now, which is awesome. But I think that we could definitely do more in terms of like having like 2 representatives for the African descent like student rep, and like so that they don't feel like they're like going against everyone else, which is predominantly like a Caucasian like room or whatnot. So they have the support to lean on each other in order to like voice the concerns of everyone else, and they have like that sort of support within like council.
All right, thanks, Stephanie. And Mackenzie?
I think one of the biggest issues with the U is the gap between the union itself and the people that they represent, which is the student body. And there's really not, just like the general student body and the U, there's a lot of kind of missing bridges, and I really want to see counselors become that bridge between the union and the student body. And I think, me personally, I really want to promote the U and the things that they do that are beneficial to the student body, to students, and then also help the U realize what students give back to them and how it's kind of a balance. You know, like the student body can't thrive without the U, and the U can't thrive without the student body.
Thank you. Ati, can you go ahead?
So just speaking off of my personal observations, because I'm a 3rd-year student here, in my past 2 years, I didn't really know what the U was about. I didn't get any, like, just explanations on what it is, and I never really saw it promoted too well, and I can speak on some of my other friends as well, because I had a conversation with them as well. So I just believe that the U's biggest problem is they are not actively promoting themselves to the student body on what they're about and what certain issues are and how they tackle those issues. And that's what I want to do is I want to voice and promote the U to different communities on campus, whether it's the athletes, whether it's the Black community, and so on and so forth. So I just want to create more of an engagement and interaction between the students and the U, and make it publicly known what the U is.
All right, thank you. Rashawn?
I would say one of the problems that the U faces would be ensuring that inclusion and diversity is an issue, because like Tiffany said, there is a diverse group of people in the room, but the 2 Black races here are competing against each other in a predominantly white university. Like that isn't ideal. So I think that you should really address that, and I feel as though there is representation on the council, but there isn't representation on the executive board. So I think that should be addressed, and I think there should be a position on the executive board for either the Black community, the Indigenous, international, LGBTQ, someone there to represent those minorities. So I think that inclusion and diversity are 2 issues that they should address.
Thank you. Margaret?
Kind of going off of what Mackenzie said was that there is such a big gap between the U and the students, and especially coming from the eyes of a 1st or 2nd year student, 2nd year myself. At times, the counselor positions and the executive board positions at the U can seem kind of idolized, and none of us are here to be better than the people we're trying to represent. So I think improving our communication with our students is the most important thing that needs to be addressed at this time.
All right, thank you. Tiana?
I think it's really comes down to trying to fortify that relationship between the union and the student body. With people not really understanding what you do here in the union, what really goes on behind closed doors, who's really being represented, whose voices are really being heard. So I feel like that could really be communicated a bit better. But that's why we're all here. We really, we're trying to get our voices in to improve, right? Inclusion, it's gone a long way. It can go even further, right? There's always work we can do. and especially with inclusion, with educating about what really we offer here for every single person in the student body. There's a lot of work we can do. There's a lot of communication that can be done. So I think just really focusing on those hard issues, the ones that really matter, and making sure we're concentrating on them day one and getting that, succeeding to address them is really a step we need to be taking.
All right, thank you. And Hunter?
I think a big problem the U faces is being viewed as elitist by some of the student body, because they see people in the U like, oh, they sit in big meetings and they have say on big issues. But what isn't realized is that they're representing our issues. And when I arrived here as a first year student, I didn't realize that there was a house council. I didn't know that there was Drive U, you could get a drive somewhere. I didn't know all the different supports that were available and what the U actually did and how I could get involved. So I think a way that I would act against that would be to visit in business. Specifically, I would visit the first year classes right at the start and say, this is what's going on at CNFX. Anything that's not academic, a lot of it has to do with the U. And this is how you can get involved. Here's a list of emails, people that are representing you, how you can get your voice out there and what they're doing.
Thank you, Hunter. Darren, can you hear me?
I think I already answered that question.
Yes, you did. Do you want to just reiterate what you said when you answered that question?
I can't hear you.
Sorry. Can you just reiterate your answer to the question that you answered previously?
Sorry, guys. Someone has to turn me over again. I'm sorry.
Okay, that's okay.
I can't hear.
Hi. So yeah, you already answered the question about what problem the U faces, but do you mind just reiterating it again so we could all, so we're all in the same context? Okay, thank you. I'm gonna turn you back.
Yeah. Okay. But what I think is the biggest issue right now the student union has is the trust of the students, and in a way to the respect that happened after the ex-candidate and his very discriminating, very racist statements. Like, I know the student union has to be neutral, and then I know there's like superior people in the school that student union has to follow with. However, I don't think it was a case of whether freedom of speech or whether anything that has to do as institutionally. I believe, and I think many internationals believe, that those statements of him the student union has to give more voice against that. Because I checked the post like yesterday of the student union if they had any post about saying like condemning or saying sorry about it or anything, and there was nothing. And for the candidate part, it was saying his withdrawal. And for my opinion, it shouldn't even be a withdrawal, and this is what majority thinks too. And I believe that with this happening, the student union, the international students, the minorities felt less secure, less safe, and less welcomed because, as the others said, the student union is here to represent the students, not too much in respectfully following up with the other people, other principals, yes. But I believe in my role as a counselor, anything similar like this happens, I will like raise my voice about it. I would risk losing the position, honestly.
Thank you,
Because
Darren.
I believe it was very saddening for students to not really see student union raising their voice enough for that incident. And it has to be, that reputation has to be come back,
Thank you.
Awesome. So we're gonna finish up with one last question for everyone. Part of your role as a counselor is sitting on the committees of the Students' Union Representative Council. What committee are you most interested in, and what would you like to bring to that committee? We'll start with Tiffany.
So one of the committees that I looked at were Sexual Violence Prevention Committee, and so I know it's a really big problem here on campus, and it's really hard for people to feel safe in like their classrooms with other people who like have been like victims as well, and I feel like It's about demystifying like these sexual violence myths and like providing more support throughout the formal report process, especially since people don't really know where to go and it's just like really scary. So I feel like that's a really important part of it to tackle. And I think being like a part of the health program and knowing extensive knowledge about this, it's good that I know about it, especially since I've been educated on it, but not very many other people like in other programs have had that opportunity to be educated in that same way. And I think that the Equity Advisory Committee is also a really good one that I feel like I really connect with. And I really do want to work with Clayton to help raise awareness and cultural sensitivity on part of the LGBTQIA+ community, and make sure that they feel safe in their like educational environment so that they can thrive.
Awesome, thank you. Mackenzie?
I also have two, like Tiffany. The first one would be the Society Review Committee. I think a really big way to get students more involved on campus and also like help them realize what the U does is through societies. I'd really like to sit on that committee and just maybe even come up with different ways that we also as faculty representatives can make use of the faculty society so that we have a better connection with our constituency. And then I'm also, although it's not a standing committee, I'm also really interested in the Emergency Grant Committee because I feel like sitting on that committee, I'd be able to really help students in need and be a sound student voice in the decision process.
Awesome, thank you. Atik?
So the committee that I was most interested in, and I was interested in two committees. Well, one would be the Same Effects Racial Equity Committee, and I joined that committee before running for this representative spot because I feel like on campus there are a lot of students from like for example like Black students, Indigenous students, and students of just international descent maybe. So they go through a lot of struggles, and a lot of people who I know have been racially discriminated, and they feel like they don't have an outlet to really talk to. And being a part of that board and committee where we raise the issues that are on campus and we talk about it and tackle ways to fight it is one of my passions, and that's why I did it. And another one that I was looking forward to doing as well is the Black Society, as I joined it as well already. And just to get more involved with the Black community on campus, build relationships, and being an open ear and being a friend to my fellow Black students on campus.
Awesome, thank you. Rashawn?
I would say the Equity Advisory Committee was one that interests me, and it was just because I feel as though I could provide a different perspective or a different voice and ensure that the people that I represent are that they're represented well, I would say, and that their voice is heard in any situation, any event, any matter. Just know that they're there and that they feel a certain way about certain issues and to voice that opinion. And like Atik said, the Black Society as well, because that is our community, and just to ensure that we're all together and we're all communicating and ensuring that everyone is just doing well in general.
Awesome, thank you. Margaret?
When I was looking at the different committees, what really caught my eye was the Campus Affairs Committee. I'm from Antigonish, so I think as having a seat on the Campus Affairs Committee, I'd be able to address some of the differences that have been existing between the town and the university. Growing up here, I've seen how St. FX and the town have interacted. I've seen the issues and the challenges that have come with it, and I really think I'd have a really good interpretation and approach to addressing those issues. Also, the Bylaw and Policy Committee I also thought was very interesting. As a public policy and governance student, I say I have a decent understanding of policy and rights and different aspects of policy making. So I think that would be cool.
Awesome, thank you. Tiana?
The one that I chose is one that I heard of before I even came here to St. FX, the X Project Committee. That really spoke to me. It's really a committee and a project that encourages and advocates for the education of cultural diversity and awareness. In my undergrad, I did sociology and history, so it's really down my alley. I'm now in education here at St. FX, so put those two together, I think this would be an amazing committee to be a part of, regardless of what happens. I'm definitely going to be looking into getting myself involved in that. It just screams who I am.
Awesome, Hunter.
If I'm correct, there's a health and wellness committee, right?
Yes.
Yes.
No.
That's not the name of it.
There's like a health and dental plan committee.
Okay, because
Yeah.
there was one when I inquired about the lack of EpiPens and defibrillators, and they said they were bringing that to the health and wellness.
That could be a university committee.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, on the U, I'd definitely be interested in the equity committee because I feel like there's a lot of groups that are underrepresented in the school, and I have a lot of great ideas for how that could be solved. And I'd love to work with the other people on the committee and the other people that are interested in joining because I think we can make a great difference there.
Awesome, thank you.
Hi, Darren. Hi. I'm gonna ask you, though, this is one of the last questions we have, okay?
Yeah.
So part of your role as a counselor is sitting on committees of the Students' Union Representative Council. What committee are you most interested in, and what would you bring to that committee?
Thank you. Well, the most interesting committee I'm looking at is the, I think it's called the External Affairs, right? That's the committee as we saw. Because I know that it deals with the students Nova Scotia, students NS, and I know that as international students, they usually, we all usually struggle with the book cost because of the currency back home and here and everything. And I know students NS really looks into lower the cost of education for international students and then also the Canadian students. So that's what I really am interested in, and I think my role will be good in there because I struggled a lot with it for the last 5 years, and I think I really have good opinions about it. I'm always open to hear the other ones too, and I know what they go through, that I will be able to speak up about it a lot and bring more views.
Thank you, Darren. So I think that's all the questions we have for you folks tonight, but we're just gonna go around, and if you want to restate your name, what you're running for, and just a quick recap of your platform, that will close everything off. So Tiffany, if you want to go ahead.
So I'm Tiffany Bondog, and I'm running for Equity Rep, and my platform is just basically representing all different types of students and all kinds of students, and making sure that their needs are being addressed in different ways, and making sure that there's systemic change within the university in order to see that.
Thank you. Mackenzie?
My name is Mackenzie Lavernois, and I'm running for science representative. And my platform is to first demystify the position of student representatives. Sitting on Senate, I really want to advocate for open education resources, which includes access to free textbooks for students. And I also just want to do my best and constantly work towards being a good voice for science students with you.
My name is Atik Jalal. I'm running for the Student of African Descent Representative, and my platform is to be the voice for the Black students on campus, giving an open ear and making sure that they have access to all the resources that they need to live life easier on campus, and I'm willing to fight.
Thank you. Rashawn?
My name is Rashawn Moss, and I'm running for the Student of African Descent position. And my platform is ensuring that all the students of African descent voices are heard, and that they know that they are valued here at X, and that I can make an impactful change to the student union and to student life.
Thank you. Margaret?
My name's Margaret Ann Gillis, and I'm running for Faculty of Arts representative. And my platform is to offer transparent and approachable leadership, as well as to provide opportunities for arts students, despite no matter what program or major you're in, and to just give students the student experience that they've been asking for.
Thank you. Tiana?
And my name is Tiana Williams. I am running for the education representative position. And I'm really just excited to hopefully be able to represent my fellow students in education and be able to bring our experiences, our opinions, our thoughts, our values here to the U, and bring all of what I will learn and what will be going on back to them equally. So that's
Thank you. Hunter?
And my name's Hunter Park, and I'm running for business representative, and my platform is going to focus on instilling the sustainability values that Schwartz has in our university, as well as collaborating with women in business and Schwartz Business Society.
Thank you. Hi, Darren. Can you just state your name, what you're running for, and your platform again for your closing statement?
Okay.
Okay, thanks.
Hello everyone, I'm Darren Deji and I'm running for international representative as candidate for the next year. And my platform is on the Instagram. It's at wait, what was it? I'm sorry guys.
No, it's okay. Yeah, you can just state quickly your platform and then we're gonna end it.
Platform by like what am I going to do or
Yeah.
like a social media kind of.
Whatever, it's up to you. You can do both if you'd like.
Okay, sorry, I couldn't hear the others, that's why I was confused.
Yeah, that's okay, that's okay.
And I'm here to be your voice and then raise the issues you have and hopefully engage everyone and then be able to share our culture, same as learning the Canadian culture more. And thank you.
Thanks, Sarah. All right, folks, so that wraps up our roundtable discussion with our council representative candidates. Don't forget to vote on March 9th and 10th, and vote. Thank you.